Hey, my name's Anthony,
My name's Alex.
and we are
The PTA Podcast.
Hey everybody, thank you again for tuning in for another episode of the PTA Podcast. Just going to fix this up. I'm riding solo today, and one of the topics that I want to speak about today is something that I hold very near and dear to my heart. It's something that affected me significantly because I lost family very suddenly in my life because of some of these reasons. And so my message in this podcast episode today is a very simple one. Don't be a burden on your family. Be somebody that your family can depend on. Okay? Now, the reason why I say that is because every single choice that you make in your life has an impact not only on you, but on the people that are closest to you. One of the biggest things that my dad taught me is that as a family man and as somebody who, loves to make sure that the people around him are always okay, every single thing that I do, every single thing that I say, every single thing that I think will have an impact on those people. And I need to make sure that it's a positive one. When I think about the life that I've lived and the people that have come and gone in my life, there has always been something that all of them in some way or another have taught me. One of the best lessons that I ever was taught was from my grandfather. And what my grandfather taught me was what not to do with how you spent your life and with what you did. Now, taking nothing away from my grandfather, I absolutely love him and I miss him, and he gave me the life that I have because of the hard work and sacrifice that he went through and that he did for our family. But he also didn't do a lot of good things with his decisions. One in particular was just not looking after his health. Now, some of you may be looking at that going, yeah, all right, like we're not perfect. And I get that because we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. But I am somebody that does not like to know that I'm having a negative impact on the people that I'm supposed to be looking after, supposed to be supporting, that I love the most, that are the most important to me. And that is easily fixed or easily changed by the decisions that I make. So a lot of the things that my grandfather did with his health weren't the best. And later on in his life, he became what I term as a burden. And I know that might sound harsh because my grandfather or anybody in my family is never a burden to me. Just like I know a lot of you will feel the same. But if you can avoid getting that sick where you can't even get off a couch by yourself, wouldn't you want to avoid that? If you can avoid having open heart surgery, wouldn't you want to avoid that? So when somebody goes to those things and still doesn't change their lifestyle, still doesn't change the things that they do every day, still doesn't want to be able to be even 1 or 2% healthier, there's a problem. And the problem is they're okay with being a burden and they don't want us to be able to support anymore. I will not stand for that, even if it's my own family, because I would never do that. And I would be very annoyed if somebody that I know and that I love and that I care about was consciously not caring about the fact that their family is actually struggling and finding it difficult and hurting seeing them this way. So my message today in today's episode is very simple. Do better. Get out of your own head. Stop playing the victim. And understand that all the decisions that you make are going to impact people that you're supposed to be loving and that you say that you care about the most. Now, I'm not saying my grandfather didn't care about me or my family or didn't love my family and I. He did. And he had his way of showing it, and we love him for it. But I guarantee you, if he was able to have his time again, he'd make a few decisions differently. In particular, around his health. So when you think about what you're doing on a daily basis, understand that it's having an impact that's bigger than you think. You wake up stressed and annoyed and pissed off, and you have young kids that are excited to see you, and you rouse at them first thing in the day because you're upset with your life. Do you understand what you've just done to the rest of their day? And then think about how many days a week that you do that. Do you understand the impact that you're having on the rest of their life? This is why my father and my mother really, really made the effort to always greet and start our day off as best as possible. And greet and finish our day off as best as possible. Because they understood that the impact that they were going to have on my brother and I. As a father to an 18-month-old, I never miss an opportunity, or I always take up the opportunity to tell him that I love him, to go and play with him, to not get angry at him if he's not listening, rather to talk to him about what's going on. I know he's only 1.5, and some of you may be laughing and thinking he's not going to understand, but trust me when I tell you, if you understand the brain health and child development the way I do, okay, he's understanding. And over my dead body, am I going to give this kid traumatic experiences because I don't know how to be patient and communicate myself to him? Because I'm too stressed out, I'm too tired, I'm hungry, I'm feeling like crap, I haven't got the energy. No. It starts from how I look after myself and the conscious decision that I've made to be the healthiest version of myself, so that when these things arise and he pushes my buttons, which he will, and he'll test the waters, which he will, I'm not this ticking time bomb because I'm so stressed out, overweight, unhappy, and angry all the time. This is why I truly believe that looking after yourself in a gym environment is integral for each and every one of you to be able to deal with the shit out there that's actually hard. So how many of you sit there and roll your eyes about the gym and say that you hate the gym? God, fuck, I can't stand the gym today. I can't stand the gym. I don't want to do the gym. The gym is boring. It's a waste of time. I can't be bothered. It's boring. Or I want to live my life. Okay, go. I had the same conversation with a client 2 days ago. I said, if you don't commit to what you're supposed to be committing to, what happens in 12 months? You lose more muscle, you get more frail, you put on more body fat, you develop more, the potential to develop more diseases rises or increases. And then what? You start to become a burden rather than somebody who you can be dependent on. If I was to call you a burden, most of you, if not all of you, would get offended. I would. But when you think about what you're doing and the choices that you're making right now and what you did yesterday and for the last 3 months, you tell me, if you keep making the same choices, what trajectory are you heading in the next 10 to 15 to 20 years? Are you going downhill with the way your body's going to be and therefore you become a burden? Or are you going uphill, or at the very least staying stagnant and the same to make sure that you're somebody that can be depended on? That's a question only you can answer. You can bullshit to me all you like, but you can't bullshit to yourself. Ask yourself another question. If your children, those of you that have kids that are listening, if your children were going to copy exactly what you do with your day, how would they end up? Would you be happy with how they ended up? Would they be healthy? Would they be happy? Would they be intelligent? Would they be successful? Would they be somebody that can be depended on? Or would they be a burden? Too many people I see, irrespective of the age, are burdens on their family and on their circle of people, rather than being people that they can be depended on. And that to me is a big shame, because that tells me that the potential that each and every one of us have, which is exponential, is being lost, is being just thrown out, which is the most disappointing thing. Because each and every human being on this earth was not born dumb. Each and every human being on this earth was not born to hate. You're taught to hate, you're not born to hate. But you know love. It's ingrained in you. You know happiness. It's ingrained in you. We're taught to get angry. We're taught hatred. We're taught stress. We're taught pressure. We're taught arguing. We're taught those things because of ego and because of the fact that we've lost sight on what's truly important. And I won't sit there and cop the excuses that people give me of life's hard. You don't understand what I'm going through. I don't mean to be judgmental when I say this, but it's going to come across as judgmental. You're not the only person with a problem. And you won't be the only person with a problem. A good friend of mine spoke about his story, and he's talking about his story over social media at the moment. And I respect him so much for it, because the life that he had Anybody else in his shoes would have given up on life or would have been either in jail, dead, or a drug addict. He used that to fuel him to build an empire for himself. And I'm so proud of him. And now he's a dad to a 1-year-old, and he's the most amazing example to her about how to be as a person when life gives you nothing but shit cards. So don't tell me that I don't understand. I understand. Don't tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't see anything. I see it all. And I commend those individuals that have it hard and still get up and move forward. And in this world, in this country, you got no excuse. You really don't have any excuse. How can two different people who grow up, for example, in Kingsgrove, which is a very affluent area, okay, can have two very different lives though? It's not because of the fact that one had more advantages than the other. It's because of the fact that one person chose to not be a burden and the other person chose they don't give a fuck, they want to be a burden. That's what it came down to. One cared enough, one didn't. One understood that decisions affect people, one was too selfish to see outside themselves. Which one are you? And the reason why this is a very personal thing for me is because every single day I battle and I argue with people about the fact that they need to change because it's not just about them. If you're a parent, it is not just about you. If you have a partner, it is not just about you. If you're in a leadership position at work, it is not just about you. If you work with people, it is not just about you. If you live with people, it is not just about you. If you look after people, it is not just about you. So stop making it about you and stop being a burden on everybody else, and understand that every single decision you make around your health has a bigger impact than just a bit of body fat coming on your body. One of the things that I'm really, really passionate about is building a legacy. And not because of how cool it sounds, but because of what it's going to allow people to continue to do even after I'm gone. That to me is so important because I want to make sure that even after I'm gone, my kids, my grandkids can be able to benefit from what I instilled in my family. And that's not being a burden, that's being someone that they can depend on. And it starts from the daily actions that you make every single day. Because if you don't make those daily actions a positive choice, you're going to fall into a slump. And that slump is like quicksand. It's very hard to get out. And before you know it, it engulfs you and you're stuck. And you'll be very lucky to get out. It will require a lot of change to rise from something like that. And that change is going to make you very uncomfortable. And when you're uncomfortable, you're going to be met with what we term as resistance. And mainly from here. You might get a few people around you that want to talk and say what they want to say, but you're just simply showing them what they're not capable of doing. And that's changing for the better. So you can ignore those. You can. It's easy to put the hand up and just ignore them, or turn the ear off and just ignore them. But you can't ignore what goes on in here. And until you beat this person, you're always going to lose the battle external from you. At my old Kingsgrove site, I used to have a motivational quote on the wall. Nothing external from you should have any power over you. And it shouldn't. But unfortunately, we let what we read, what we see, what we hear, what people say about us, people say to us, affect us to the point where we just go, you know what, I can't be bothered. It's too much. No, I can't, no. What happened to having some resilience? What happened to understanding that you need to be strong in a world that's designed to break you? What happened? I'll tell you what happened. You let yourself become a burden. You forgot that you have people that depend on you. You played the violin for yourself. And as hard as this may be to hear, you stopped giving a fuck. And that whole concept of, I want to show myself some self-care, don't blur the lines between self-care and not giving a fuck. Because unfortunately, with today's society, it is definitely blurred. Self-care is not caring about anybody else because you need time for yourself. That's not self-care. That's what I term as selfishness. Self-care is understanding that you care about yourself enough to build the strongest, healthiest, baddest fucking body you can so you can be the best for everything else out there that's actually hard. Now, when I see people not caring about themselves and spending 45 minutes in a fucking drive-thru at Macca's and think that 45 minutes to train is too long, then I have the time, and I've seen them wait 45 minutes. When I see those comparisons, I think to myself, you just got all your priorities wrong. And at the same time, as much as I want to help people, there's also a line that I draw with who I give my time to, because there are some people that don't appreciate it at all. And those people will learn the hard way, and when they're ready, their teacher will appear. But those individuals, and this is why I love my training center so much, those individuals that actually value what we teach and understand the huge impact we're having on their life in as much of a positive way as we can, I will give them every single piece of my time and of my heart and of my passion and of my energy as I need to see them succeed. And so will the rest of my team. Because of the fact that when you meet like-minded people, it's infectious. Which leads me on to my next point. Make sure that the people that you surround yourself with are people that you can depend on and they're not burdens on you. Because if they're burdens on you and you pick up the slack from that they've left, you become tired and fatigued. Someone's going to pick up the slack that you've left. So make your inner circle tight and strong. And that's not selfish. That's protection. It's different. When you protect yourself and you protect that inner circle and you surround yourself with people that you know that on any given day of the week you can depend on them and they will never let you down, and that their morals and values and what they want for themselves and for their families are the same as yours, that's when you got some good people around you. Because when you succeed, they'll be happy for you. When you get better, you motivate them. You won't make them feel inferior. People that feel inferior from somebody else's success have a lot of work to do for themselves, especially here and here. They're the kind of people that I can't stand being around. Because if those of you that know me, you know how successful I've been, and praise God for that success over the last 15 years of my life, especially my career. Anything I put my mind to, I'm pretty good at it. Okay? I've never been absolutely great at everything. It's because I've been pretty good at a lot of things. And that being pretty good has caused comments to fly at me all the time of me being arrogant, me being too much, me being cocky, me not showing enough humility. But when I look at who's saying that, it tells me a lot about their personality and about what they feel inferior with. So I don't let it get to me anymore. I used to. I don't let it get to me anymore. It's because I kept my inner circle very small. And we're strong together and we depend on each other and we love seeing each other succeed because it motivates us to go to the next level. Nothing in this world that's external from you should have any power over you. So when you fix this and when you fix this and they're aligned, you become unstoppable with your health, which makes you unstoppable with your career or with your business, which makes you unstoppable with how you are as a person to the people that you care about the most, which makes you unstoppable as the example that you want to set, which means you have a clearer conscience and you sleep better at night. And all of this is affected by how well you are aware of what you're doing on a daily basis. Your lifestyle choices are important. And my dad taught me a lot about character. And character is a very simple thing in my dad's opinion, which I absolutely love and resonate with wholeheartedly. Character is what you do when no one's watching. Similar to integrity. Integrity is actually following through with what you say you're going to do. I told Ben that I was going to be here at 1:30. And I made sure that I made the time to be here at 1:30 because integrity tells me he's giving up his time to be here for me. And I want him to know he can depend on me to turn up. I have a lot of things to do. I could have played the burden card. I said, Ben, I can't do it today. Sorry, I got too many things on. And ruined his day and took an hour of his time and now he's wasted. But no, I want Ben to know that he can depend on me whenever we're booking a time. So I want to turn up and I want to give 100% of myself to make it worth everyone's time, especially you listeners. So understand that your mindset about how you do something will affect everything else that you do as well. I'm going to end the podcast with one little saying that I've never forgotten since it was taught to me by a good friend of mine. How you do one thing is how you're going to do everything. How you treat people, let me rephrase that. How you treat yourself is going to be how you treat people. How you do one task will affect how you do the next task. How you train and your level of dedication to your training will determine your level of dedication to everything else around your health. Skip out on one set, one rep, one exercise. You're going to skip out on one meal, which means you skip out on a second meal. You're going to skip out on your water. You're going to skip out on your sleep. You're going to get fatter as opposed to getting leaner. You're going to have less energy as opposed to having more energy. You're going to be weaker as opposed to getting stronger. You're going to be unhappier as opposed to being happier. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And that was a very different one. I wanted to kind of talk about stuff that I feel is real and can be really, really understood by each and every one of you at a deeper level. Because I can go on about calories and macros all day, but I don't want to bore you. I want you to understand that before we even talk about calories and macros, the inner work needs to be done. And this is where it starts. Be somebody that other people can depend on. Don't be a burden.